Business 101 students, hi, welcome back. It is the beginning of week 5 here at EC3PA. All right, so a couple of things from last week. I know that, let me get into our Blackboard. I know that we had a few things that were due last week, including a midterm. So we had the midterm that was due by last night. Your grade books, let me just peek in the grade books. I was working on updating your grade book. If you go into your midterm exam, I'm hoping by the end of the day, if I've received your midterm exam and it's all there, you will find in the feedback section. I won't have them graded till probably, I'm hoping by Thursday, but more likely Friday. I have to have the grades into the registrar by Saturday. So they will be graded by the end of the week. For now, I have in there received in the feedback if I did receive it on time. Also, homework for week 4 will be up and graded as of this afternoon/evening. So those 2 items will be up there for you to check in on. Make sure that you are caught up. Look through other homework weeks and let me know or send me any homework that you do not have a grade for. I'd at least get partial credit. So just make sure you are staying on top of things. We have 4 weeks of homework that should have been turned in and 2 discussions and a midterm exam. So those will be, your midterm will again just be marked as received in the feedback section. Some of those are already marked. That is for last week's work. Now we are rounding into week 5. And so week 5, we still do not have a discussion post, but I do have something up there about your project that you will find in week 5. You will also find it in the course-specific content. So when we are looking at week 5, so when you click into the weekly folders and you go to week 5, first I will explain everything that's in week 5 and then I will go back and touch on the project. You will see a link in there of this video will be in there as a link, but then next you will see a link for the project for the course. And then you will see a video, but I would say make sure you read the chapters first and then watch the Warren Buffett video. Maybe I'll even move that down a little. Whoop, I'll move it down to the bottom. Okay, under the homework. So I have in there listed, you'll see the video for that I'm filming right now, this video for week 5. You'll see the project in there. You'll see, this week it's chapters 9 and 10 from the text. You'll see the PowerPoint for 9 and 10. And so this week you were to read 9 and 10, and then you can review the PowerPoints that are associated with 9 and 10. There also are 2 homework assignments, chapter 9 and chapter 10. Again, those are for you to fill out, to circle back around and help you review and digest the things from 9 and 10. So there are 2 homework assignments that both need to be emailed to me. There's also a video, a short video from Warren Buffett, one of the gurus with investing. He is with Berkshire Hathaway if you're interested. He has made quite a killing in the stock market over the last several decades, and he has a few tips for investing for beginners. Some of you may be advanced investors. However, I like how these tips are because they talk about how stocks represent companies and then how those stocks fluctuate on the market and they interact with each other and with competitors in the industries that they are involved in. So understanding how to invest in stocks and understanding stocks helps you better understand how the stock is tied to a company, right? So that's why I really like this video. I believe it's roughly 13 minutes. So that is for this week. Now, I will talk a little bit about chapters 9 and 10, and then we will circle back around to the project. So when you're looking in your Business 10 text, swing back through chapter 9. So chapter 9, in chapter 8, we talked a little bit about accounting. Chapter 9 starts to talk about financing and acquiring funds and what motivates financial decisions. So some of the things when we think about companies, right, large publicly traded companies in particular, we think about, okay, how do their managers try to be the most efficient, right? And use the funds that they have to get the most bang for their buck, essentially. And so looking at some of the tools that financial managers that work for companies, what do they use really to maximize profit and to maximize the effectiveness of the dollars that they have, the dollars and cents. Also, some major sources of long-term and short-term funding to help with financial needs, right? You can take short-term loans out, have some long-term financing, different ways to structure your company. Again, we're thinking more along the lines of large publicly traded companies, but small companies also have different types of tools that they use in the short term and the long term in order to have liquid funds. Let's see, how financial managers acquire and manage current assets. So talking about how companies, manage, say, accounts receivable. which is considered, an asset, right? How they manage other types of items within a company, right? Whether the assets are actual items, whether it's cash, whether it's buildings, whether it's vehicles, whatever it might be. So thinking about that, and also then talking about a little bit with budgeting. 9 gets pretty intense, but you're going to need some of 9 for your project, right? When you're thinking about your large publicly traded company and how they might operate. Now, the other thing we see here is this idea in chapter 10 of financial markets. And so in the markets, right, for chapter 10, you're going to start to look at how the financial markets play a role in the U.S. economy, right? Most of us know about the New York Stock Exchange, the NASDAQ, things like that. But, who are the key players? These large publicly traded companies that a lot of us invest in, and how do those companies operate? How can we tell if a company is a good company to invest in? And does the stock price show the strength or the stability of a company? Different types of securities that might be traded in securities markets, primary markets and secondary markets, right? So a primary market is like an initial public offering when something is sold for the first time. A secondary market is when it's resold. So that's considered the secondary market. And so looking a little bit at stock quotes and financial websites, right? I will also post in here for next week when we start to talk about the project more. You're going to be able to, one of the key things, let me go up to the project now and I will open it up and start to talk about the project. When you click on the project, right? So the project really, in that first discussion post, we talked about, I said, pick a company that you would be interested in, whether that company is Nike or Apple, Google, General Motors, Tesla. Those are some examples that I gave. Disney. And you all picked something, right? Something easy, because we want to dissect it from a few basic tenets, right? So the purpose of the project, when you read this project for the course, is to try out your business knowledge by assessing a currently functioning publicly traded company of your choosing. And so from the discussion post 1, you mentioned a company you'd be interested in. Now, the project challenges you to apply the various business concepts outlined in this course and assess the current viability and success of your business. And so as we continue to move through the coursework, you will hopefully gain the knowledge of each of the following areas. So in your paper, I'm hoping that you can touch on these 5 things, right? And again, this is a 2 to 3 page paper. Again, not including like a cover or works cited, but the main bulk of it's 2 to 3 pages. It's not super extensive. This is your first kind of dissection of a company so that you look at it a little bit differently. And then you can use that framework to look at other companies as you progress through your career here at EC3 in the business program, or maybe as you progress in other programs, whatever it might be, how you look, if you want to start investing, right? How do you look through a lens that is critical when you are dissecting a company and trying to figure out if they've been successful and predict if they will be successful, right? So for this paper, we're going to look at a few overarching ideas. So first, we're going to look at the business environment. Why did you choose a particular business, and how are they navigating in this new world marketplace, and how are they handling some ethical and social responsibilities? So you can find these items. I'll talk about where you can find some of these items first and foremost, right? Some of the things that they're using to navigate on a world stage, and also talking about any ethical or social responsibilities they might have. Now, also, number 2, and these are not necessarily in order, but they're 5 sections that I would like you to try to touch on, right, in whatever order you like. So you're going to have your paper, you're going to introduce your company, right? You're going to talk like kind of why you chose that company and how they're kind of operating on the world stage. And then you're going to talk about, okay, well, they're operating on a world stage, but what industry are they in? So talk a little bit about their industry and talk about maybe why the company was initially started. Like, how did it come to be and fit into a specific industry? That's number 2. And then number 3, how are they doing financially? And so you might be able to find this out in several different ways. So again, this is a loaded question, right? People can write books about how companies are doing financially, a single company. So I only want you 2 to 3 pages for the whole paper. So how is your business doing financially? How stable or volatile is the stock? Is their stock going up and down, right? You can go to Yahoo Finance and see, did the stock go from $50 a share down to $20 to $110? Is it moving, every week very rapidly, or has it leveled off, or is it slowly creeping up or slowly creeping down? So you can kind of get an idea of that. how is the business stacking up against competitors? So if you choose Apple, how are they stacking up against competitors? If you choose Amazon, if you choose Tesla, General Motors, how are they operating against other, you may say just domestic vehicle manufacturers, or you may choose to look at worldwide automotive manufacturers. So just depending on how wide of a scope you want to consider competitors. So again, this is a little bit for you referencing. I know about a lot of these companies. I know what they're doing. I want to hear how you are looking at them. And I want to see your reflection, right? I don't need you to just reiterate stuff to me. I want you to reflect a little bit on your thoughts as to how you think they are operating. So the financial part, obviously, that's going to be something that's kind of set in stone. How they're doing financially, are they growing or are they declining? And then fourth, does the business, we haven't talked about the marketing mix yet, but we'll be talking about that in upcoming chapters. But the marketing mix talks about the 4 Ps. So from a business standpoint, the 4 Ps, we have price, we have product, we have promotion, or how are they promoting the product, like marketing, and we have placement, which the only thing I don't like about the Business 10 textbook is that they refer to placement as distribution. But placement really is how do you get your product out there, right? And so how the marketing mix are those 4 Ps. And, figuring out, are they doing a good job? What's their current marketing mix? What's their current pricing? What kind of products do they have? Are they good products? How are they promoting their products? And what kind of marketing campaigns are they using? And then also, where can you get these products, right? So that's number 4, and that will come, in the next couple chapters when we start talking about the marketing mix, but you're going to already be able to reflect a little bit on that. And finally, this is kind of the extra one, what type of employees does the business hire? And is there any special leadership style expressed governing your chosen business? So, like we talk about Tesla and Elon Musk, does he have a certain way that the business operates? We talk about Google. Google has its own way of having Google employees. They have their own little shopping centers and whatnot right at their Google center. Facebook, they have casual dress at Facebook. As there are certain things that companies do that set themselves apart from other companies, right? So if there's anything like that in particular, to talk about what type of businesses they hire, so this again, there's books written about certain businesses and the type of the type of employees they hire and how do you get into those businesses. So there's entire books about number 5, right? And so I really just want you to reflect on that a little bit. And if you know anything about the leadership for any of these companies or for the company you chose, that's going to be that section. So I'm just kind of laying the groundwork, and then ultimately in our last discussion post, I want you to get familiar with, some of you might already be familiar with PowerPoints. And so those of you that are familiar with them, a 3 to 5 page PowerPoint summary of your paper or of your company is not going to be that hard. Some of you that are not as familiar with PowerPoint, you might need some help. And if you do, our librarian, I've already spoken with her and she's helped me in previous semesters. She is at St. Ben's campus. She can Zoom with you, email with you, or help you in person. She is there all day, Monday through Friday. I can also help you. We can Zoom or go through Collaborate, those types of things, and I can explain a few things about how you would set up a PowerPoint. But most of you, if you have access to a computer, you're able to look at PowerPoint. You have access to all of those things through EC3. So if you haven't downloaded Word, Excel, PowerPoint, you have that. And so the 3 to 5 slides, I just want to see a nice cohesive 3 to 5 slide PowerPoint. It doesn't have to be voiceover. It doesn't have to be, it's just the slides, right? And so thinking about the slides and modeling your slideshow after the slides that you have seen in this class, right, or you scrolled through, is really a good way to get started. And so you'll have that will be posted in a discussion post so that other folks can kind of get a summary of your final paper and of your company, right? When we do this in person, typically you have your slideshow and you talk about your company, right, to the class. And so each person does that. We aren't presenting here, but it is a wonderful thing that you learn about PowerPoints, right? Not only to digest them, but to build them yourself. And so we will be doing that for our final discussion. Your paper, 2 to 3 pages, you can start gathering info on that. And then there's also be prepared to answer questions about your chosen company on the final exam. So I know I'm throwing a lot out there. Again, our librarian is wonderful. She loves PowerPoint, and she will help you with that. She will help you with finding sources, right? So one of the things you're going to want to do first is go to the company's website and go to the part that says for investors or financial. Typically it says investors. And once you click on that investors, then what's going to happen is it's going to bring up different forms, right? And you're going to want to look for the annual report. The annual report is a 100 to 150 page report that pretty much summarizes all the things that you need to talk about in your 2 to 3 page report. But that's where you're going to want to start. I'm looking for, do I have in here? I'm looking for at least, I would like 2, preferably 3 references. So you can reference the company website, but I would like at least 2 other references. That might be a magazine, might be some other type of financial paper, Investor in Business Daily is a report paper that comes out, things like that. So I will talk a little bit more about this next week when I talk about the citations and how that will work. You have been, most of you that have had an English course here, or if you transferred out of it because you've already had something similar, you've learned about citing and citations. I did put a link on here that helps you with APA format, free of charge. We do have some APA citation items in the library, and the librarian can help you with that as well. I can help you as well if you let me know. And so we're just getting our feet wet. My biggest concern for this project is that you look at a company through a critical lens, right? Through several, in several areas. And so start thinking about your company that you chose and these items that I've listed here as sections for your paper. So I'm sure you'll have questions. As always, you can reach out to me, 814-490-6473. You can send me a text or email me, crobertson@ec3pa.org. And that is what we are working on for this chapter. Again, I will circle back around on Friday. I will send an update as to midterm grades and what's going on with the class. But for now, have a great week, and I will talk to you soon.